So obviously Jamal was available in the last game. How about Edwin? We saw him working out there individually today. What's his availability for Wednesday?
We'll check on Edwin. I'm not sure. He might be still a little bit of ways away for the New York game. But we'll check. He just did his session out there, and then I'll update probably later.
So how have the roles changed within the team, particularly in midfield and attack, in terms of chance creation? Obviously, you're missing players like Thiago, who excelled at that. How are the roles changing to kind of compensate for that?
Almost, yeah. Are you asking like who replaces that?
Who, I guess. Sure, not exactly. It's kind of who is, like, how are some of the players changing? Are there any changes in the way that they're playing to kind of make up for that sort of chance creation that used to come from Thiago?
Yeah, like, look, Thiago was a really skilled individual, and a lot of times you could see he could take over a game on his own. Now that's not always the way people want to rely on just one player. So, multiple players have had to step up. I think that, it's not only just about midfielders, but it's about how we build the attack, or whether that's with center backs and what passes they're looking for, or how the front players manipulate a back line to either playing behind or playing between spaces. So I would say, like, whether roles have changed, or I think since I've taken over, we've talked about a different way of playing in some ways, of how we can be a little bit more direct, or how we can be more pragmatic, use Doug's words as he likes, play what the game gives you. So other players have had to step up. Tristan's a player that can use his dribbling ability to get out of pressure and to help build our attack. But ultimately, we want to isolate the front players against defenders, and whether it's 1v1 situations, or even if they can get behind and they're 1v the goalkeeper. So, whether it's their role has changed, or it's just the way we're trying to highlight their strengths, really.
In the last game, obviously, you didn't have a shot on goal. What do you do this time to kind of change that?
Shoot more. No, I'm just joking. Sorry. It's too easy. No, look, I'm not happy about that. None of us are happy about that. But when we look back at really in the transitional moments, and I spoke to you guys about this before, in the transitional moments, we had opportunity to take more of an aggressive decision, to get more shots, to actually, whether it's complete the shot or make the final pass, to have somebody have the shot. And different opponents will call for different things. I think that we found it really difficult in the first half, and then we changed some things at halftime, and then from there it looked like we could start to build some attack, and then all of a sudden the goal changes, the red card changes, and then it was about putting our back up against the wall and rolling our sleeves up and doing the work. So it wasn't really about that point. I'll be honest, I wasn't worried about how many shots we created. It was about creating one chance to go and even the game and try to get something out of it. So if you take that part out, then from there, we'll look at how we can manipulate the next opponent and create more shots on goal, whether it's with crosses in the box, or before we would have a lot of times you would have the midfielders join the box. So we need to look at things like that. But I would say if I take that game, it was maybe a one-off, hopefully.
You won't have Stian or Noah for this next game. How does that change in center backs? How does that change things for you?
I mean, it just means those two are unavailable. We've had guys that have had to be called upon that maybe you think that the young players weren't going to be the ones that were called upon this year. Ephraim's stepped in a game like DC. We've got Luis Abram, we've got Derek Williams. Like we have some players that can step in and do their job. So whatever the formation might be or their roles might be, there'll be players there to step in when their number's called.
Do you feel like in some situations where you're not finding those shots or quality chances, that the team almost tightens up when they get into the attacking third if you're not there as often, so you're trying to be more precise?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they tighten up. I don't know. I looked at when we were looking at it at halftime. I tried to talk to them about getting their defensive line a little bit higher, and each individual getting more aggressive so they can gain some more yards. So we can get closer to the ball, and then for me the second part was to be more brave to play on it. So when you're on it, there's more movement and actually looking for the passes that we could find. And so that's what the reason I went to the defending part was because that was what we touched on at halftime, is about how we could be a little bit more brave and finding passes or finding combinations or dribbling. There was a quick spell when we won the ball back on the sideline, and Tristan, Shande, Daniel Rios, all of a sudden quick 1-2s, flipped it over somebody, and then all of a sudden they start to build the attack. Bartek switches the play. So in there, I was looking at like what's changed. It's not about tightening up. It's about maybe being a little bit more loose and a little more brave with their play and taking more risk. Now, when you get to the final third, then it's different. It's whether it's more shots from distance or a different pass, maybe more runs in behind from the wing backs or a winger. So there's a couple of different factors in that.
And it feels like the counter pressure has maybe been a really good source of creating opportunities at times for this group, but it kind of goes back to what you were talking about being maybe a little more direct at times. Is that something that you guys have kind of focused on, or is it just a byproduct of the combination of players that you're getting right now?
Yeah, I think it could be a byproduct of that. I think sometimes it's, when we look at when we play sometimes more direct, it's not just, again, I've said this before, it's not just a hook it, but when we do play direct, sometimes we do fall short. So it's if that happens, who's the ones supporting? So it's sometimes a ball into Danny Rios, and then you got, midfielders going to support, wing backs going to support. So that part becomes sometimes transitional, or it ends up being a counter pressure moment because it comes more of a 50-50 or hopefully a 60-40 in our advantage. So it's not that we want to create those, but if they do happen in the game, we've touched on, can we be on top of that number so that it's not the reverse, and then we're playing from behind a little bit in that sense of we're second to things. So I want us to be first and more proactive to those.
You have that rotation in the back line almost all season. It's been very in and out with Noah, Steon, Efrain, and Williams. What is the connection like between those players now that will more than likely be playing on Wednesday with Williams, Efrain, O'Brien, and all of them?
Yeah, I think they've all got some kind of connection. Like I've touched on at the beginning of when Bartek came back from the Euros, I was telling the midfielders, like 4 of them, hey, look, there's competition in there. Not all of you are going to play at one time. There could be a 3-man midfield, there could be a 2-man midfield. So there's healthy competition in there. But I wanted them to embrace it, to push each other to be better. And I said the same to some of the center backs, like, hey, there's competition in there. There's guys that have experience. There's guys that don't have experience or less of. And so it's like, how can these guys push these guys? But also maybe they want to maintain their place in it. But when these guys have to step up, they have to know, like, hey, this guy's got my back and he's helped me and coached me along in these moments. So it's really about creating an environment here for them to be able to have that cohesion, and no matter who plays, that they're their biggest supporter. And they don't get to make those decisions. Like, I get to take that away from them. So I've told them before, like, don't put that pressure on yourselves that, oh, I've got to fight and compete, and I have to not like this guy. No, you can like him and you can compete out there. Let me make the decision, and I'll take the management part of that out of your hands.
The last time you guys played in the Benz was the crazy finish. It looked like momentum was going to go your way, and then you guys have this kind of streak where you lose 4 in a row. How important is this game on Wednesday at home to kind of get the direction back going?
Yeah, I keep saying it. Like, every game's important. Like, the one that's in front of us is the most important. I love playing at home in front of our fans. They're a big coup for us to have, like, that support. They're always supportive, even when they're upset. I understand that, and that's sports, and they should be, because they're passionate about it. But never do I sit there at the Benz and sit there and see them angry at the players in unison that they don't support us. I think that however they support and the noise that they make makes a massive difference. So I'm looking forward to being at home again. I've put behind us what's happened, and you have to move forward, because if we keep thinking about what we didn't do or we didn't accomplish, then it's not going to help us moving forward. Good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Rob.